Have you ever noticed how the people around you start acting differently when they see you in a new light? It's not just a figment of your imagination. When you walk in your purpose, when your spirit radiates with the power of God's calling, it shifts the atmosphere. Just as the Bible tells us in Matthew 5:14, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden." Your energy becomes undeniable, and it impacts everyone you come into contact with. They feel it, even if they can't put it into words. But what happens when that light shines so brightly that it becomes uncomfortable for others? Maybe it's because of your unwavering faith, your deep commitment to your beliefs, or your honest and authentic self. Perhaps it's simply because you walk in the fullness of your spiritual truth. Whatever the reason, people notice and their reactions can be startling. They may become uneasy, frustrated, or even distant. Have you ever felt this? They seem to change before your eyes, as if they can no longer handle the presence of someone who is divinely appointed. It's a sad truth. You're just walking your path, living in the fullness of who God has created you to be. But suddenly, their discomfort turns into confusion, frustration, and sometimes even judgment. You may wonder, why can't they handle the light I carry? What is it about me that makes them react this way? Well, let me tell you, this is no coincidence. As a chosen one, you are set apart for a divine purpose. And when people see that purpose manifesting in your life, it can cause reactions that you might not expect. The Bible reminds us in 1 Peter 2:9, "But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his wonderful light." People may not understand this light, and that's where their behavior starts to change. In this video, I'm going to reveal to you 9 specific behaviors that people exhibit when they recognize that you are the chosen one. These are not random actions. They are clear signs of the impact that your presence has on them, signs that you are walking in the calling God has placed on your life. Have you experienced any of these behaviors in your life? I want you to stay with me as I explore these 9 signs and help you understand the truth behind what's happening when people react to the light within you. As you listen, ask yourself, how are people responding to my light? Are they drawn to it, or do they shrink back from it? Let's dive deep and explore the unsettling truth of how others behave when they realize you are different. Stay tuned, because the answers may surprise you. Chosen ones. 9 ways people behave when they see you as the chosen one. The first behavior people exhibit when they recognize you as the chosen one is sudden distancing. Have you ever felt the shift when someone starts to pull away from you, but they don't give any explanation? They avoid your calls, minimize their interactions, and in some cases, just disappear from your life altogether. It can be a painful and confusing experience, especially when you've done nothing to cause harm. But let me tell you something profound. This distancing isn't personal, it's spiritual. It's a response to the transformation that's taking place inside of you. When you begin to walk in the fullness of your calling, your energy changes. Your spirit aligns more deeply with your purpose, and your vibration rises. You become a living testament to God's plan for your life. And when this happens, those around you, whether they realize it or not, feel it. They sense the shift, and it can be deeply disconcerting for them. The Bible speaks of this in John 15:19, where Jesus tells his disciples, "If you belong to the world, it would love you as its own. As it is, you do not belong to the world, but I have chosen you out of the world." You, my friend, are not of this world. And as you step into your divine purpose, you become a walking light, and that light will cause others to react in ways they don't always understand. Imagine, if you will, a scenario where you've been part of a tight-knit group of friends. You've shared laughs, experiences, and memories. But as you grow in your faith, as you commit more to your spiritual walk, you begin to notice a shift. Invitations to gatherings become fewer. Conversations feel more distant. The once familiar bond begins to unravel, and you're left wondering why. This distancing doesn't necessarily come from a place of malice. It's a response to the light you now carry. A light that's uncomfortable for those who haven't yet embraced their own purpose. As you align with your higher calling, you unknowingly challenge them to confront parts of themselves they'd rather ignore. This distancing is a reflection of their internal discomfort. How do you handle the light of someone else? It's easy to feel threatened when faced with the truth that is shining so brightly from you. Your newfound alignment forces others to reflect on their own lives, their own choices, their own relationship with God. They may not consciously understand this tension, but deep down they know something is different about you. And because this difference stirs up uncomfortable feelings, their natural response is to pull away. But here's the truth. This distancing is not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their inability to handle the new version of you. As you walk more deeply in your purpose, you will encounter people who won't be able to stay with you on this journey. And that's okay. Jesus himself faced this very situation. In Mark 6:4, he said, "A prophet is not without honor except in his own town, among his relatives, and in his own home." Even Jesus, the chosen one, experienced rejection from those who were closest to him. If it happened to him, it can certainly happen to us as we embrace the path God has set before us. In work environments, this can be even more evident. If you have started to stand out because of your dedication and vision, you may notice that colleagues who were once friendly begin to distance themselves. Comments that were frequent before become rare, and you may even feel a certain coldness in the air. This happens because your energy is at a level that others cannot comprehend or keep up with. They feel they can no longer connect with you in the same way. Understanding this behavior is crucial so that you don't feel rejected or discouraged. This distancing is actually a sign that you are advancing on your spiritual journey and that your light is beginning to shine in a way that others notice, even if it makes them uncomfortable. The second behavior that people exhibit when they recognize you as the chosen one is offering things for free. At first glance, these gestures may seem like acts of kindness, but have you ever experienced how they can quickly become uncomfortable, even embarrassing? Imagine walking into a coffee shop to enjoy a quiet moment, and suddenly the barista says, "This coffee is on the house." Or you're browsing through books at a store and the attendant insists on giving you a hefty discount without you asking for it. Perhaps you're shopping for clothes and a salesperson offers you an accessory as a gift. Or you visit a beauty salon and unexpectedly receive a free treatment. Now, while these acts seem generous and well-intentioned, they can leave you questioning, why are they doing this for me? What did I do to deserve this? Is this kindness, or is there something else behind it? This behavior happens because people see something extraordinary in you, something they may not be able to articulate, but can certainly feel. Your presence, your energy, your aura, these qualities are magnetic, and they draw people toward you in ways they don't fully understand. When they offer you something for free, they aren't just being kind. They are trying to connect with you, to get closer to that light they sense in you. This is not just random generosity, it's a form of recognition. People can feel that there is something special about you, a unique gift, a purpose that sets you apart from the crowd. Your energy emanates in a way that makes others want to be near you. And what better way to show admiration than through giving? Perhaps in their eyes they feel that by giving you something, they are somehow partaking in your journey. Their act of kindness becomes a way of showing respect for who you are and what you represent. In their hearts, they're acknowledging the greatness they see in you. In 2 Corinthians 9:7, the Bible tells us, "Each of you should give what you have decided in your heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver." Those who recognize your special qualities want to give to you, not because they feel obliged, but because they want to see you prosper. However, there's a subtle tension in this giving. Some gifts come with unspoken expectations. Sometimes when people give, they hope for something in return, an acknowledgement, a favor, or an invitation to be part of your future success. They might say, "Remember me when you're even more successful," as if positioning themselves for a place in your journey. This behavior is often driven by an unconscious desire to align themselves with your success, believing that being close to you will somehow bring them favor or benefit. And while this is not always malicious, it can quickly become overwhelming. Maybe you don't want to feel indebted. Perhaps you simply wish to be treated respectfully without the weight of obligation hanging over you. As you start receiving more free offers, gifts, favors, and invitations, you may feel the pressure to reciprocate. But let me remind you, there is no need to repay others just because they gave you something. Here's the key. The Bible also teaches us about boundaries in the context of giving and receiving. In Luke 6:38, it says, "Give and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together and running over, will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you." God is a giver, and as His chosen ones, we are called to receive His blessings with gratitude, but we are also called to protect our boundaries. You are not obligated to reciprocate every gift or favor you receive. How do you handle situations when people offer you things for free? Are you caught up in guilt, feeling that you must give something in return? Or do you recognize that their offering is a reflection of their admiration and the recognition of your unique qualities, but also know when to set boundaries? It's crucial to remember that these offers, though generous, are not always without strings attached. If they start to feel like a burden, or if the expectation to repay becomes overwhelming, learn to say no, kindly but firmly. Your value isn't defined by what others give you, nor is it determined by what you give in return. You are already blessed with what you need to move forward in your journey. And while generosity is a beautiful thing, it's important that you maintain your independence and keep your integrity intact. So, when these gestures of kindness start coming your way, how will you respond? Will you accept with grace, knowing that you are admired for who you are? Or will you feel the pressure to repay what you did not ask for? The choice is yours. Always remember, your true worth is not tied to what others give you, but in how you walk in the purpose God has set before you. Let that be the guiding principle of your interactions. The third behavior people exhibit when they recognize you as the chosen one is jealousy, disguised as support. Have you ever noticed how, as you begin to stand out and make progress in your life, some people seem to cheer for you at first, but then subtly introduce doubts? At first, their support feels genuine, but something feels off. They celebrate your achievements, but then, out of nowhere, they'll ask questions like, "Are you sure you're ready for what's next?" Or, "That path might be more difficult than you think. Have you thought this through?" These well-meaning questions, though veiled in concern, begin to plant seeds of doubt in your heart. It's as if their support comes with a shadow, a subtle, almost imperceptible negativity that slowly erodes your confidence. This is one of the most dangerous forms of jealousy because it's so hard to identify. The support feels real, but the undertone of uncertainty lingers. Their words might seem full of advice, caution, or concern, but there's a certain weight to them, a weight that makes you question whether your decisions are truly sound or whether you are walking the right path. Have you ever experienced this? Someone who was once excited about your success suddenly starts suggesting that the road ahead is more perilous than you imagined, questioning your every move and planting seeds of insecurity. In Proverbs 4:23 we are told, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." When people speak with subtle judgment disguised as concern, their words can seep into your heart, affecting the way you view yourself and the choices you make. These comments, though seemingly harmless, can become like weeds, slowly choking the strength and confidence you once had. Instead of celebrating your victories and lifting you up, this kind of support drags you down, leaving you wondering if you're on the right track. For example, imagine you've just received an incredible opportunity, one that could take your career, your ministry, or your personal life to the next level. At first, everyone around you is supportive, but then one person starts to question your readiness. You might want to reconsider, they might say. Have you thought about the risks? What if this doesn't turn out the way you expect? Initially, this might seem like a protective comment, but deep down, you start to feel uncertain. Is this person truly concerned for you, or are they trying to subtly sow seeds of doubt because they feel threatened by your success? In Matthew 7:15, Jesus warns us, "Watch out for false prophets. They come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ferocious wolves." The same principle applies here. Jealousy can come disguised as support. It might not always look like the typical forms of negativity we expect, but instead of building you up, it slowly tears you down. And it doesn't have to be aggressive to be harmful. In fact, it's often the quiet words, the seemingly innocent comments that do the most damage. Are you sure you're ready? You've always been great, but this might be too big for you. These types of comments may seem like nothing at first, but if you don't recognize them for what they are, they can start to infect your mind and spirit. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, what is the true motivation behind this person's support? Is it coming from a place of love and encouragement, or is there an underlying current of fear and jealousy? Recognizing this distinction is essential to protecting your peace and your purpose. When people offer support, but with a layer of doubt or negativity, it's crucial to recognize that this is not true encouragement. It's an attempt to derail your confidence and cause you to second-guess the path you're on. What can you do to protect yourself from this subtle form of jealousy? First, you need to understand the difference between genuine support and jealousy disguised as concern. True support will lift you up without placing limitations on you. It will celebrate your achievements without inserting doubt. When people around you express genuine concern for your well-being, their words will come from a place of love and respect, not fear or judgment. In Romans 12:15, we are encouraged to rejoice with those who rejoice, mourn with those who mourn. True supporters will celebrate your success and rejoice in the good things happening in your life. They won't try to dampen your victories with negativity or cast doubt on your potential. Surround yourself with those who genuinely support you and protect your heart from the influence of those whose support is laced with hidden agendas. Trust that you're capable of following the path God has set before you, even if others try to make you question it. As you continue your journey, remember to guard your heart against these disguised attacks. Not everyone who says they're supporting you is truly cheering for your success. Recognize when the support feels heavy and understand that not every comment is one you need to accept. Stay true to your purpose and let your confidence in the path God has chosen for you remain unshaken. The fourth behavior that can be challenging when people recognize you as the chosen one is their constant need to be near you. Have you ever noticed how, as your energy elevates and your purpose becomes more clear, people start to gravitate toward you? It's almost as if your presence is magnetic, drawing others in without any effort on your part. This is not just a coincidence. It's a sign that people can sense the unique energy you carry, the very energy that is aligned with your higher purpose, and it's something they want to be a part of. Much like in the Bible, where people would gather around prophets or spiritual figures, hoping to receive blessings or guidance, your presence has a similar effect on those around you. They are drawn to you because they believe that something in your proximity can benefit them. In the Bible, we see this dynamic with figures like Moses. Crowds followed him, seeking his wisdom and the divine guidance he carried. Just as the Israelites sought Moses' leadership, drawn to the presence of God's chosen servant, people today may feel a similar pull toward you. This pull is not just physical, but spiritual. When you begin to walk in your purpose and align with your calling, people sense that there is something in your energy, something within your spirit that they need or want. They may not understand it fully, but they are instinctively drawn to be near you. Imagine this. You walk into a room, and before you know it, people start to approach you. You might be at a social gathering, a work meeting, or even just at a coffee shop, trying to enjoy a quiet moment. Suddenly, you find yourself surrounded by people who want to talk to you, be near you, or just engage with you in some way. It's as though they cannot resist the magnetic pull of your presence. This can feel overwhelming and even invasive at times. Have you ever felt that way? When you're simply trying to be yourself, yet it seems like everyone around you wants a piece of your energy. This behavior is not new. We see a similar situation in the story of Elisha, the prophet, who was sought after by those desiring prophecies or divine counsel. People recognized in him a connection to something greater, something they didn't have. They wanted to be near him, not only to receive wisdom, but also to experience the divine energy that flowed through him. Similarly, when people draw close to you, they are often seeking something, be it guidance, inspiration, or simply a piece of the light that you carry. But this constant need for proximity can also become exhausting. Just as Bartimaeus cried out to Jesus in the crowd, believing that by simply being close to him, he could be healed, people may surround you with a similar sense of urgency, believing that your presence will bring them something they lack. You might find that your personal space is constantly invaded, your peace interrupted, and your energy drained. It can become suffocating. Imagine trying to enjoy a quiet moment, only to have someone come up to you, touch you, or seek your attention, believing that just being near you will somehow benefit them. It's flattering at first, but it can quickly turn overwhelming. Now, in Mark 10:46-52, we read about Bartimaeus, a blind man who heard Jesus was passing by. Despite the crowd, he cried out, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." He believed that just being near Jesus in his presence could heal him. This story mirrors the way people may flock to you, believing that by being near you, they too will gain something valuable. It's a powerful reminder of how others may see you as a source of healing, wisdom, or guidance. While it is undoubtedly flattering that people feel such an attraction to you, it is essential to recognize that this behavior is not without its challenges. The constant attention can feel draining, and if you're not careful, it can invade your personal boundaries. The need to protect your energy becomes critical. You're not responsible for giving away all of yourself just because others are drawn to you. Establishing boundaries is crucial, and you must do so with love and respect for yourself. It's important to remember that while people may want to be close to you, you are not obligated to give them all of your time, energy, or attention. Just like Jesus withdrew to quiet places to pray and recharge, you too must take moments to step back and protect your peace. In the Matthew 11:28-30, Jesus invites us, saying, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." This rest, this time to recharge, is necessary in the face of constant demands. It's okay to say no, to step back, and to protect your space so that you can continue to serve others without losing yourself. Balancing the need for connection with the need for solitude is crucial. As the chosen one, people may be drawn to you, but you must remember that your energy is sacred. Protect it, cherish it, and know when to set limits. By doing so, you can continue to be a light to others without allowing that light to be extinguished by the constant need for others to be near you. The fifth behavior that can be particularly irritating is the jealousy that arises in unexpected and seemingly irrational ways when people discover you are the chosen one. Have you ever experienced the sudden shift in someone's attitude toward you, especially when you least expected it? One moment, everything seems perfectly fine, and the next, someone who was once close to you begins acting distant, cold, or even dismissive. It's as if you've done something wrong, but in reality, you haven't done anything at all. This kind of behavior can be incredibly confusing and painful to process, especially when it comes from someone you trusted. What's really happening in these situations is rooted into the other person's insecurity. They may not even realize it themselves, but their behavior is a defense mechanism to make themselves feel superior. By rejecting you or distancing themselves, they are trying to maintain control or power in the relationship, especially when they sense that you are standing out or achieving something they can't or don't have. It's a painful form of emotional manipulation that seeks to diminish your light in order to make them feel better about themselves. This is not just a modern phenomenon. It has been observed throughout history, and the Bible offers clear examples of this type of jealousy. One such example is the story of Joseph and his brothers in the Old Testament. When Joseph's brothers saw that he was favored by their father and had dreams of greatness, their jealousy led them to plot against him. They rejected him, not because he had done anything wrong, but because they couldn't handle the idea that Joseph was different and special. Their jealousy blinded them to his innocence, and they chose to act on their insecurities rather than embrace the good in him. Another biblical example can be found in the relationship between King Saul and David. Saul, once a strong and favored king, became consumed by jealousy after David's successes. Despite David's loyalty and respect for Saul, the king's envy led him to try and harm David at every turn. Saul's fear of losing his position and influence drove him to irrational behavior, trying to diminish David's value and even trying to destroy him emotionally. Saul's jealousy was a reflection of his own internal turmoil, not David's worth or actions. People who behave this way often act like emotional vampires. They try to drain your energy, attempting to bring you down to their level so they can feel better about themselves. They see your light, your unique energy, and even if they won't admit it, they recognize that you possess something they don't. In their attempt to cope with their own inadequacies, they may reject you or seek to control you emotionally. This behavior is a tactic to elevate themselves by diminishing your confidence and success. When they see you falter or make mistakes, it feeds their sense of superiority and gives them a temporary feeling of relief. However, it's important to understand that this rejection is not about you. It's about them and their own unresolved internal conflicts. Their jealousy and need to reject you stem from their inability to accept their own shortcomings. They may struggle with your success and individuality because it highlights what they feel is lacking in themselves. By recognizing this, you can face these difficult interactions with greater tranquility, understanding that their behavior is not a reflection of your worth, but of their own unresolved emotions. When you encounter jealousy like this, remind yourself that you're not responsible for how others choose to react to your success or light. Their rejection has nothing to do with your actions or value. It is about their inability to process their own feelings of inferiority. By not internalizing their behavior, you can maintain your peace and continue moving forward with confidence. Stay focused on your path, understanding that their rejection is simply a projection of their own inner conflict. And keep shining with the knowledge that your worth is not defined by others' insecurities. The sixth behavior you may encounter, especially when others realize you're the chosen one, is intentional ignorance. This subtle yet deliberate tactic is designed to shake your confidence. People who practice this behavior aren't merely overlooking you, they are intentionally ignoring your presence and accomplishments in a calculated effort to diminish your significance. It's not a passive oversight, it's an active choice fueled by a deep sense of competition and fear of your success. These individuals may pretend to be too busy to acknowledge you, or may avoid responding to your messages, hoping this will lead you to question your value or wonder if you're truly deserving of the attention and recognition you've received. Think about the story of Jesus in the Gospel of Mark 6:4, where he, despite his extraordinary teachings and miracles, was met with rejection and a lack of acknowledgement from those who knew him best, the people of his hometown. They dismissed him because they couldn't accept the idea that someone they thought they knew could be chosen for such greatness. They chose to ignore him, disregarding his works and dismissing his divine calling. Just as the people in Jesus' hometown ignored him, others may try to do the same to you when they sense that you are chosen for a higher purpose. You might see this in a work setting, where, despite your success or achievements, someone purposefully ignores your contributions. For example, imagine a colleague who never mentions your success after a big project launch, even though everyone else is praising your work. It's as if they intentionally bypass your accomplishments, making you feel as though you didn't do anything noteworthy, all while pretending that they are too busy or important to notice you. This behavior can be particularly frustrating, as it's an indirect way to undermine your confidence and sense of worth, leaving you wondering, why am I being treated like this when I've done nothing wrong? This strategy can make you question yourself as you begin to internalize their neglect as a reflection of your inadequacy. But this response is not a true reflection of you. It's about their insecurities. These individuals may fear that your success highlights their own shortcomings, so instead of supporting you, they choose to ignore you to protect their own fragile sense of self-importance. You might even find that after you reach out to them, they purposely become more unavailable, making it clear they are deliberately avoiding you or any acknowledgement of your progress. It's important to ask yourself, why do we fear celebrating the success of others? Why do some people react to greatness with silence, while others embrace it with joy and encouragement? Consider how Saul responded to David's rising fame. 1 Samuel 18:8-9. Instead of celebrating David's victory, Saul's heart filled with jealousy and fear. He tried to undermine David's position, not because David had done anything wrong, but because David's success threatened Saul's own sense of power. It's this same jealousy and fear that fuels the intentional ignorance you may encounter. Understanding this behavior is key to dealing with it effectively. Recognize that this tactic isn't about you. It's about the person who is ignoring you. Their actions reveal more about their inner conflicts and insecurities than your worth or accomplishments. In these moments, remember to stand firm in who you are. Your value isn't diminished by their ignorance, and your path isn't less significant because of their attempts to sideline you. Instead, Keep your focus on your journey and trust in the process. Just as David didn't let Saul's jealousy stop him, neither should you allow others' attempts to diminish your light to affect your course. Stay confident in your purpose and allow their ignorance to remind you of one simple truth. Your light is so bright that it intimidates those who can't understand it. Keep shining and don't let anyone, no matter how subtle their attempts, dim your brilliance. The seventh irritating behavior you might experience when people realize you have something special is their constant need to show off their own achievements. This behavior can be particularly grating because, no matter the context, some people seem to find every conversation an opportunity to boast about their own successes. It's as though they believe they need to keep up with you, or even surpass you, in order to maintain their sense of worth or significance. Whether it's talking about a recent home renovation, sharing details of an exclusive dinner they attended, or boasting about luxury purchases or upcoming extravagant vacations, their stories quickly turn into a showcase of their accomplishments. Consider the story of the Pharisee in the Gospel of Luke 18:11-12. In this passage, the Pharisee stands proudly in the temple and praises his own good deeds, comparing himself to others, particularly the tax collector nearby. The Pharisee believes that his achievements, his fasting, his giving, make him superior to others. Similarly, people who constantly highlight their accomplishments often do so because they feel the need to prove themselves. They aren't just sharing their good news, they are using it as a tool to elevate their status, to make themselves feel superior to others. When you're in the presence of someone like this, it can feel as though their every word is an attempt to measure themselves against you, trying to match or outdo your energy and success. But what makes this situation even more frustrating is the lack of interest they show when you try to share something positive about your own life. Have you ever tried to bring up something you're proud of, whether it's a professional accomplishment, a personal victory, or something you've worked hard for, only to be met with disinterest or a swift change of topic? It's as though your success doesn't matter to them, and they would rather shift the focus back to their own achievements, almost as if your accomplishments are not worth celebrating. This behavior reveals their true intentions, not to engage in mutual respect or appreciation, but to outshine you by monopolizing the conversation. Think about the story of Cain and Abel in Genesis 4. Cain, feeling jealous of Abel's favor with God, became consumed by the need to outdo his brother. Instead of celebrating Abel's success or offering his own gifts with humility, Cain's bitterness led him to violence. Similarly, people who constantly boast about their achievements may not openly acknowledge your value, but their actions speak volumes about how they view you. By highlighting their own successes, they are engaging in a quiet competition, where the goal is to be seen as equally significant, if not more so. These individuals may not say it outright, but their constant need to talk about themselves and their accomplishments comes from a place of insecurity. They feel threatened by your light and seek to dim it by drawing attention to their own successes. This can be especially frustrating if you are someone who is genuinely supportive and kind, trying to celebrate others without expecting anything in return. Yet, they make it clear that their focus is not on a genuine exchange, but on proving they are just as worthy of recognition, if not more so. The key question here is, why do we sometimes feel the need to overshadow others with our own successes? Is it a desire to feel better about ourselves, or is it rooted in a deeper fear of being forgotten or left behind? In 1 Corinthians 13:4, Paul speaks about love, saying, "Love does not boast, it is not proud." If we truly value others, we shouldn't need to elevate ourselves by putting others down or trying to outdo them. Instead, we should celebrate their accomplishments with the same joy and enthusiasm we hope to receive. it's essential to remember that the constant boasting you encounter isn't about you, it's about them. Their need to compete with you isn't a reflection of your worth, but rather their own internal struggle with insecurity. The more you recognize this, the easier it becomes to navigate these interactions with grace. Acknowledge their behavior for what it is, a subtle competition driven by their own insecurities, and continue to focus on your journey and achievements, free from the need to outshine anyone else. The eighth irritating behavior that people may display when they realize you have been chosen is underestimating your abilities or minimizing your achievements. Rather than acknowledging and appreciating what you've accomplished, some individuals will downplay the significance of your success. When you share something important, like a work milestone or a personal victory, they may respond by attributing your success to luck or claiming that anyone could have achieved the same outcome. This tendency to belittle your achievements often extends beyond mere words. These people may attempt to redirect the conversation to themselves, shifting the focus away from your accomplishment. For example, if you mention a challenging course you've completed or a successful project at work, they might immediately pivot to something they are doing or have already done, subtly diminishing the impact of your achievement. Instead of celebrating your success, their response is a tactic to downplay your effort and make it seem less impressive or even trivial. This behavior is particularly frustrating because, rather than appreciating the effort you've put in, these individuals try to reduce its value. It is a subtle yet persistent way of competing with you without ever admitting it outright. By minimizing your accomplishments, they try to elevate their own sense of self-worth and feel superior. It's almost as though they can't stand the thought of your success shining brighter than theirs. So they try to dull your light by discrediting your achievements. A powerful biblical example of underestimation is the story of David and Goliath in 1 Samuel 17. When David, a young shepherd, volunteered to face the giant Goliath, those around him, including King Saul and even his brothers, doubted his ability. King Saul questioned how a boy could possibly defeat a seasoned warrior like Goliath. His brothers, too, dismissed him as just a shepherd, trying to dissuade him from entering the battlefield. They couldn't fathom that someone so young and inexperienced could succeed where seasoned warriors had failed. But David's faith and abilities were far greater than what anyone could see on the surface. Armed with nothing but a sling and a stone, David defeated Goliath, proving that his worth wasn't determined by others' limited perceptions of his abilities. Similarly, when others underestimate you, remember that it is not a reflection of your true potential. Like David, you may face those who doubt your ability, but the journey ahead is yours, and your achievements will speak for themselves. The opinions of others may try to hold you back or minimize your value, but they can never determine your destiny or define what you are truly capable of. Think of Joseph, who also faced similar doubts from his brothers and others who couldn't see the greatness he carried. Despite being thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, and wrongly imprisoned, Joseph's destiny unfolded exactly as God had planned. His brothers had tried to diminish his dreams and dismiss his potential, but their doubts didn't stop God from using Joseph to save nations and fulfill a divine purpose. The question here is, why do some people feel the need to undermine others' success? Is it a way to feel better about themselves, or is it rooted in insecurity and fear? Jesus told us in Matthew 7:16, "By their fruit you will recognize them." Just as a tree is known by its fruit, a person's worth is proven by their actions and their journey, not by the opinions of others. When you encounter individuals who attempt to undermine your abilities, remember that their behavior says more about their own insecurities than it does about your capabilities. Stay confident in your path, and remember that, like David, You're equipped with everything you need to succeed. Your achievements are not defined by others' perceptions, but by your own efforts, faith, and resilience. Keep moving forward, knowing that no matter how others try to minimize you, your true worth is always greater than their attempts to diminish it. The ninth frustrating behavior that people may exhibit when they realize you're chosen is when they start blaming you for their problems. This behavior can be particularly hurtful when it comes from those closest to you, whether it's a partner, friend, or family member. It often happens when these individuals are struggling with something they can't or don't want to deal with. And instead of taking responsibility for their actions or mistakes, they deflect and place the blame on you. An example might be when a simple disagreement escalates, and despite your minimal involvement, you are suddenly held responsible for the entire situation. Or when you offer a suggestion or insight, it is twisted into being the cause of all their frustration or problems. Even if their troubles stem from their own decisions or inaction, they project their dissatisfaction onto you. This is a form of emotional manipulation designed to avoid taking responsibility for their own shortcomings. This type of blame shifting is often rooted in feelings of jealousy, inadequacy, and insecurity. When others see your success, your strength, or your ability to handle challenges, it can make them feel even worse about their own failures. Instead of confronting their own issues, they look for an easy scapegoat, someone strong like you, who they feel they can unfairly target to alleviate their own discomfort. By blaming you, they try to diminish your light and keep themselves from facing their internal struggles. In the Bible, a striking example of this behavior can be found in the story of Joseph and his brothers. Joseph's brothers, overwhelmed by jealousy and resentment toward him for being their father's favorite and for his prophetic dreams, blamed him for their own feelings of insecurity. They felt threatened by his potential and tried to eliminate him, first by throwing him into a pit and later selling him into slavery. Joseph had done nothing wrong. His brothers' anger and blame were entirely misplaced, but their jealousy blinded them to the truth. Similarly, people who blame you for their troubles are not focused on the reality of the situation, but rather on their own internal turmoil. They want to shift the responsibility to you to avoid confronting their own flaws and failures. And just like Joseph, who went through many trials, your strength, resilience, and grace in the face of such challenges will only prove your worth. The important thing to understand is that these accusations and attempts to place blame are not a reflection of your shortcomings, but of their own insecurities. This behavior is often more about them trying to ease their own discomfort than it is about anything you've done. Recognizing this can help you not to internalize their negativity. The question arises, how do we respond to such unfair blame? Should we defend ourselves at every turn, or is there a better approach? In Matthew 5:39, Jesus teaches, "But I say to you, do not resist the one who is evil. But if anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also." This verse highlights the power of responding with grace and patience, even when unjustly accused. Setting boundaries is crucial in these situations. While you must not accept blame for things that aren't yours to carry, you should also remain kind and firm in defending your peace. By responding with calm strength, you remind others that their accusations will not sway you. You are not responsible for their feelings or their struggles. They are. Remember, as someone chosen, you will undoubtedly encounter moments when others' insecurities project onto you. It can be hurtful and confusing, but it is vital to remember that their actions are not a reflection of who you are. You are called to radiate your light, to walk in your purpose, and to continue moving forward with confidence. Your unique energy is a blessing, and no one's attempt to shift blame or bring you down can take that from you. Just as Jesus was misunderstood and wrongfully accused, your journey may include moments where others try to dim your light. But as you hold firm in your path, you will shine brighter, knowing that your worth is not determined by the accusations of others, but by your true identity in Christ. Embrace your role as someone special and continue to let your light guide others. We have explored the various frustrating behaviors that people may exhibit when they realize you are chosen. Behaviors that stem from their insecurities, fears, and jealousy. While these reactions can be painful and disheartening, they are not a reflection of your worth or purpose. Your journey as someone chosen is one of great significance, filled with divine purpose and power. As you continue to walk in your calling, remember to remain confident, true to yourself, and undeterred by the negativity around you. Now, to those of you who share this calling, I encourage you to share your stories and experiences in the comments, not just as personal accounts, but as testimonies of the divine work in your lives. Your words have the power to encourage and uplift others who may be facing similar challenges. Embrace this calling with humility and courage, for you are not just a participant in the divine narrative, but one of its most important narrators. May your journey be blessed, and may you inspire many others to recognize and embrace the divine gifts in their own lives. If this message touched your heart and you are ready for the second part, just write Part 2.